This algae looks like it's totally trying to die, being covered with all that stuff. I shouldn't have left it covered. It's starting to get more transparent, losing that dark green. Bacteria may have started breaking down the tissue, I don't know. But that wasn't a good move. If your algae's covered, your macroalgae's covered, clean it off. Like I just did. But don't let it go for a long time. I should have known that because it needs light to continue to photosynthesize, and all that bacteria was creating such a cover. It's just not good. It's probably not good for anything living to be just covered in a mat of bacteria. It doesn't sound good saying it out loud. Anyway, that's a tip for you. It's the next day after kicking up all that stuff and after cleaning up the algae last night. It's actually less than 24 hours, and we can see the water is clear again already. So that's great. This water here is not as dirty as I thought it would stay. Probably most of the junk got put into this tank with the large majority of sand that went in there. So everything's looking fine. I still haven't plumbed that up, but I'll get it done. I'm going to see if I can improvise something since I don't have an elbow, but that's okay. Elbows are cheap, so I'll buy one if I have to, but I mean, it's not necessary. It doesn't have to hold any pressure, so it's not like I actually need a PVC elbow to put in there. I just need something that's going to funnel the flow nice and gradually to the water surface. And let's see. Here, you can see down there's a slight drop of water, not even a full drop formed. And from this other side, you can see a little bit of wetness. So there is a leak that's ever so slight. But really, realistically, the sand will seal that. Not the sand, the salt will seal that up when it dries. So not really a big deal to mess with it. It's not worth draining a bunch of water and trying to pull stuff over to clean it and then tightening that down. The more I tighten that, the more I risk potentially cracking glass. So it's not worth the risk. This will work fine. Pump still pumping away. It's interesting how the water clears up faster and faster each time. I don't know what that means, but it seems to mean something good. And it seems like it's faster each time. Could be wrong, but I know the first week this water was cloudy, and if you get over here and you smell, it still smells a little bit stale, but the smell is so much less potent. So it's still there. It's not clean water, obviously. Look how yellow it is. But obviously there are things going on. It's filtering down. The smell is starting to go away with all those gases that get released through the surface exchange here. That's why it's important to break the surface with your flow. Most people do, though, so it's not really an issue most of the time, but I've not done it in several of my tanks, and you end up with some problems, because if you can see, you kind of get a barrier that gets created, and that blocks gas exchange between the surface. And it's important to have gas exchange. You want to absorb oxygen, release carbon dioxide. All that helps your pH stay where it should, and helps to release waste, gas waste of some sort. You don't want things getting trapped in your water. You want free motion. It's interesting, you can see from a distance how much cleaner this tank is than that tank by the yellowness. See how that's more blue and it's more yellow? So this tank may be mostly fresh water. Not entirely sure. I gotta get my refractometer over here and check out my salinity. Water's clear but very yellow, so that means lots of contaminants. But we'll clear it up. I turned off the blue light so you can see a little bit better, but I came into the garage and I see my algae is pretty much transparent. I've heard that happens when there's a lack of nutrients for growing algae. So it appears that we may have run out of nutrients and the bacteria may have processed all the waste. I may be sitting at 0 nitrate and 0 phosphate. The water has been remarkably clear and clearing up very quickly lately. So I think there's a pretty good possibility that's what we're looking at. I'll probably do a water test and see what I come up with. But I'm guessing our nitrate and phosphate are looking at 0. I doubt we'll be seeing any ammonia or nitrite either. Cycle may be complete. However, I've gotten I'm guessing I have no nutrients because I have no algae growth. That's not entirely a good thing. I've got my bacteria established, but in order to start establishing a balance, I need to introduce nutrients into the system for everything to start processing and balance out. I've got these 2 tanks set up like I've shown you before, but we see a stark contrast between the two. This water is very clear. This water is cloudy. It's cloudier than the video shows, and you can see on top it's got a cloudy film as well. And I was thinking there's a major difference between these two, and that's the flow. Flow allows aeration, and apparently it allows life, oxygenation, gas exchange, etc. So without flow, our tanks are just stagnant, disgusting pools of gross water. Now I want to link these 2 tanks up, but I was thinking I really should get this tank clear and nice like this one before introducing the water. Partially because I don't want to shock and kill any of the beneficial bacteria I've gained in this tank. Now I know there are no nutrients for life, at least not algal life in there, because there's no algae growth. As you can see here, it died. I've put some food in there. That's what those little red things are. Hopefully those will start breaking down and creating some usable waste. But I'm going to get some flow in my spot filter on this and see if we can turn it around. I wanted to also say another good judge of how your tank is doing is smell. Now I used this filter pad filter sock to filter out my large tank the other day. And if you smell it, it stinks so bad. But that is like the telltale smell of too much waste. I can't really describe it, but if your tank has a weird smell and things are looking unhappy, that's why you probably need to run carbon to deal with whatever chemical is in there or whatever compound is creating that smell. Probably due to an overabundance of unprocessed waste. Just a quick tip. Just wanted to show you these clean up pretty well. Just rub them together like you're cleaning your hands under hot water, and they clean right up. Pretty nice, pretty fast and easy. You don't have to throw them in the laundry. Just basically wash your hands for 5 minutes, and most of the stuff will come out pretty great.